There's just so much to say about this shoe and so little time to do it, and I'm going to try and cram it all into this video. I'm going to start with an apology. Sorry 1,000 times over if I offend anyone. And that's not because I'm an offensive kind of guy, it's because I might not know enough about this shoe to talk about it knowledgeably. It's Familia. Now, I might be pronouncing that wrong. I research the shoes before I come and talk to you guys about this every single day. I check it out, find out as much information as I possibly can about the shoes. But then when it's outside of my culture, outside of my history, outside of my experience, it gets a bit more challenging because I rely on the written word rather than my own experiences, and this shoe today is very much like that. I'm going to try and remember all the details that influence this shoe, get it all right, and if I'm culturally wrong, if I mispronounce something, or if I say something is the wrong thing, just shoot me a comment down below and tell me, actually it's this way. I love it when people use the comments down below to teach me and give me more information about a shoe, about a sneaker, about a culture, about anything. Actually, I love to learn. So tell me in the comments down below if I've blown it and I've got this shoe all wrong, especially from a cultural point of view. But that's not going to stop me. I'm going to get into it. And I've done this before. I've done it with Korean shoes, with Chinese shoes, shoes from all over the world where I've tried my best to represent them. I think the most recent one I did actually was the Puerto Rico Air Force Ones that never actually came to drop, and tried to get it right on that shoe. And maybe it did, maybe I didn't. But maybe it's just the trying that's important. That's maybe the important part, not the accuracy. But who knows? Let me know in the comments down below what you think if I make a mess of this video. But that's being said, I'm still going to do it. Like I said, I'm going to jump into this video in Air Force One and Nike Air Jordan 1 mid in this case, and I have to stress the mid because recently there's been a bunch of Air Jordan 1s at the channel, and getting the low, mid or high right on them is an important sort of feature. So yes, it's an upcoming Air Jordan 1 mid that we're talking about. So without further ado, let's just get into that. Let's talk about this and have a look at the details, and some of them are absolutely fire on the upcoming release of the Nike Air Jordan 1 MID Familia. This is the Tokyo Outta 23 Sneaker Channel, Tokyo Outta 23 Sneaker Channel des. Mainichi Yapsuru no de, Mainichi Mite Kudasai. Every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news and sneaker reviews. And today what we've got is the October 27th Nike Air Jordan 1 MID Familia. And that date is super important, the October the 27th, because of this shoe right here. That's the dark mochas, the Air Jordan 1 high dark mocha, which is coming out on October the 31st, 4 days after this shoe comes out today, this Familia. But I already did the video about the dark mochas, and then I saw this shoe, and so they're out of sync. But because this shoe drops first, then I'm going to punt this video ahead of that dark mocha video, which means that maybe what I'm saying in the videos is getting out of sync, and I'll say things that contradict things from a different video. So if it makes a mess of things, apologies for that, but I think it's more important to get the shoes in the right order that they're going to drop with. So that dark mocha is bumped back one in the rotation of my videos on YouTube, as is this right here. That's the co.jp navy, midnight navies, which I think is an absolutely beautiful shoe, also dropping on October the 31st or November the 14th. Either way, it's after October the 27th. So this guy right here, today's shoe, is going to come ahead in the rotation and come to you guys in the right order that it's going to come to drop. So so like I say, if in later videos I'm talking about shoes out of sync, or I contradict myself, 1,000 apologies for that, but that's just what happens when you're doing daily content on YouTube, especially about upcoming releases, when you're not sure of due dates and drop dates and things like that. So that being said, let's get into this shoe today. As soon as I saw it, I was just like, yes, doing that shoe, it's like nothing I've ever seen before. Honestly, nothing I've ever seen before. Now, I might be blind, literally and metaphorically, to the possibility that there are other Air Jordan 1s that follow a similar colorway to this or have a similar vibe to it. I haven't seen them. Doesn't mean they don't exist. If they do exist and you know about it, definitely let us know in the comments down below about a shoe that looks like this. But for me, A, the colorway is absolutely unique. I've never seen anything like this before. And B, the hits on this shoe are absolutely fire. And again, they're unique things that I haven't seen before on Air Jordan 1, mids or highs for that matter. So what I want to do for you guys today is go through all of those details on there. Some that you maybe are straight aware of and you're like, everybody knows that. And others you might be like, whoa, did not know that about that shoe. That's very cool. And that's kind of the point of all this, is that I give you guys as much information about an upcoming release as possible, so you can then decide if you want to dig into your pocket, get out your cash, put it on the counter and get yourself a brand new pair of shoes. For me though, like I said, the dark mochas that we already talk about, it's a great looking shoe, especially with that kind of Cactus Jack vibe, with the browns, which are rare in Air Jordan 1s to have those earth tones. Very nice looking shoe, and today's shoes are absolutely unique and very cool. But for me, it's those Co.jp Midnight Navies that I'll be trying to get my hands on in the upcoming rotation. So but anyway, I'm still going to look at this shoe and tell you guys about it and give you all the details on it. And I'm going to start with, I'm going to do this in the order of the things I think you know about. So I'll start with the things that I think everybody knows about, and gradually I'll work my way towards things that maybe people are just not realizing. They're like, wow, that's absolutely cool and absolutely fire, and I'm glad Butter told me about it, because I just didn't know. So first things first, the thing that everybody knows about this shoe. Everybody, I'm pretty sure, will zoom in on the toe box there on the lateral side and see the word Familia on the side, Spanish for family. It's obviously right there. It's that kind of pink, it's almost a red pink toe box, and then the orange vibe that comes from the Spanish feel. It's and this is where the heritage bit goes wrong. It's a celebration of the Day of the Dead, and it's like Dia de los Muertos or something like that. You guys are probably laughing at me, but I'm trying my best. So it's a celebration of the Day of the Dead from Mexico that's inspired this shoe, and then that Spanish Familia on the side of the toe box there in orange on the pink toe box. Everybody knows about that, but it's a cool detail. Rarely do you see a bit of writing on the lateral side of the toe box on Air Jordan 1, so very nice. Travel back from that and we'll go up to the tongue where the branding on the tongue is, and apparently it's Papal Picola, I think is what we're talking about here, which is a Mexican display, what's the word I'm looking for? Decoration, that's the word I was looking for. It's a paper-based, tissue paper-based decoration, very traditional in Mexico. And this design on the brand here is supposed to reflect that Mexican feel, Mexican vibe, Mexican heritage on there. So the square orange branding panel with the black Jumpman inside, but then around that you've got a bunch of detailing that's supposed to represent, I suppose if you want to go for a more European feel, it's very similar to how you would cut up snowflakes at Christmas out of paper when you cut them out and go, "Wing," and here's my snowflakes. And that's the kind of, as far as I know, and if I've got this wrong, definitely let me know in the comments down below, because I might be just insulting an entire nation right here, an entire culture. But it's that whole kind of cutting out little holes to create a decoration on a piece of tissue paper, which this tongue branding is supposed to represent. And for me, that's the second point that everybody knows about this shoe, and they already have picked up on that. And they're the two major things that I think everybody's going to have their eye on. And then the third thing I'm going to go with is right beside that on the tongue is the tongue material itself, which is in a very thick mesh material. Sometimes you get a tight mesh, almost like a tight nylon weave, which is hard to tell the difference between the regular Jordan tongues and a specialized mesh Jordan tongue. But in the case of these guys, it's a bit more of a, I don't know, there's a bit more space between the mesh fibers on this guy. So it's a thicker mesh, a more pronounced mesh. And I'm assuming that people who have looked in on that branding panel at the top of the tongue have also then looked to the side and been like, oh, look at that, that's a unique looking tongue on these guys. So that's why it comes out at number 3 on the important features of this shoe. But then the final 2 important features plus 1, which isn't an important feature, but the final 2 important features, we have to travel down to the midfoot on, and I'm not sure how many people know this because they might be looking at the shoe from far away and not really getting close into it. So the first thing is it's all about the stitching. Now primarily the stitching on this shoe is done in orange, and it's slightly oversized, and it's a kind of cross stitch as opposed to a sort of straight stitch. And hopefully I've zoomed in somewhere like the quarter line on this to give you a real sense of that oversized stitching that's holding the shoe together in orange on the red pink materials on this. But then when we travel back from that, we get staying with that point number 4, the oversized stitching. But in the case of the swoosh, which is yellow, you've got pink stitching around that, but again with that oversized. And I think I'm right in saying that just below the swoosh there's a real big sort of chunk of oversized stitching going on down there as well, which really pops out. And then point number 5, which is actually to me the most important point, but maybe the least known point about this shoe, is the materials on the swoosh, which hopefully you're getting an idea of here. Maybe you're sort of like, interesting materials, but I'm not really getting it, butter. So then you travel up to the top of the ankle where you see that material repeated again, and you're still getting a sense of what's going on, but you might not really get it, because the best way to look at it is actually on the heel. And here's a cracking picture of the cracked up leather, and that's the major feature to me of the design of the shoe. Excuse me. Of the swoosh, the top line, and on the heels there you can see that cracked leather effect, which gives a great textured feel to the shoe and a great little addition. And like I say, that's the 5th, probably for me it's the least known feature of the shoe, but the most important one. And then I said there was a 6th thing, a +1, which isn't so important, but if we look down from above onto the insoles, I love it when they do mismatched insoles, and on the right shoe it's a Jordan Jumpman on that orange insole, but then on the left shoe it's this sort of rotation, almost like a rose kind of flower effect from all the swooshes coming together, and it's unique to this particular shoe. It's a nice little feature, but I don't think it's so important. Insoles, it's nice to see when they play around with them, but people rarely see the insoles because you've got your shoe in the shoe, you've got your foot in the shoe, so it's hard to see that detail. So for me, big details on this shoe. Like I say, if we start out there with the major one, the Familia on the toe box, then travel back to the branding on the tongue itself, then the stitching that holds the whole shoe together, and finally that material they use on the swoosh and up high on the ankle with that cracked effect. So they're the major features of this guy. Hopefully I've done a service to the Mexican heritage, the Spanish heritage especially. There's like the Latin X heritage collection or something that people are thinking this might be tied to, especially with that Spanish word familia on the side, and then the paying homage to the Mexican, the Day of the Dead and stuff like that. So hopefully I've done a good job. Hopefully you guys have got some interesting information about the shoe, and I haven't insulted anybody's heritage. For now though, time for me to sign off and do what I do at the end of every video, which is just thank you guys for checking out the content, because I truly appreciate it, and I remind you that I do this every single day, so you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.